Okay, so Halo Infinite. uh, well, I guess welcome everyone to episode 9 of The Leftovers. Talk about things we just want to talk about if we didn't get to do it on the previous show or something. Obviously, yesterday Halo Infinite launched. The campaign launched. The multiplayer launched November 15th. And I think we're the only two of the group that played it. The multiplayer.
Yeah, I think so.
So, what do you think so far?
I don't think it's bad. There's a couple things obviously that I think they definitely could fix, but I think the biggest problem isn't going to be like whether or not the game is good or bad. I think the biggest problem is going to be whether or not they can continue to deliver stuff on a timely manner. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah, like for me, it's kind of a double whammy. Like Halo Infinite is a paradox, and I say that because it's got really good gameplay. Like the gameplay is fun. However, it's marred by everything else in the game. The lack of being able to select what game type you want to play, the progression system or lack thereof, really, the monetization, like everything just mars it. Like what could have been a really good game is purposely made to be a bad game because none of these are like oops mistakes. Hell, one of the Reddit was shut down recently because people were doxing each other and threatening the devs, which don't ever do that, people. That's just stupid. But they shut down the Reddit after what caused all this backlash was Sketch, the community manager for 343. He was saying how like, yeah, we knew some of this stuff wouldn't work, and they released it anyway. It's like, then what? Like, why?
Well, and so I think another part of the reason that like a lot of people were upset was, they had said, yeah, we knew, but we're gonna work on it. But after we go for like vacation for Christmas or break for Christmas, right? And I fully understand. People are, they're human. They need to have breaks and for work and all that stuff, right? But it's a little frustrating, right? When you have what was promised to be a game that should have come out last year.
Yeah.
That is now coming out in 3 parts. With even then, those parts aren't really fully working right now. At least the first season part, right? Like the
multiplayer. Like, yeah, just ignoring the campaign because obviously, like, I can't talk about the campaign having not having played it. I just, out of good conscience, can't talk about it.
Yeah,
but
same.
The multiplayer, I've played that for a few. I can check Steam to see how many hours specifically, but I played that for a good few hours. And I can say this is essentially exactly what we predicted, by the way, like a year ago now.
Yeah.
It's a typical AAA free-to-play shooter multiplayer, but this time it's Halo. Like, and that sucks because like, it has the basis to be a really good game there. Like, I do think that.
Yeah, and I think, like I had said before, I don't think it'll be an issue with the gameplay or anything because I enjoy the gameplay. I enjoy the new weapons they've added in. Some of them I can say like
some of them are
they're
probably like
but...
some of them have what I call the concussion rifle problem.
Yeah.
The Ravager specifically.
Yeah. But I think the biggest issue will definitely be with the longevity of the game because I guess for instance, I think personally and amongst my friend group who I played a lot of Halo with, the biggest part of Halo for us was always the custom games.
Right.
It was getting into these cool game modes that like Fat Kid and Duck Hunt and all these game modes.
They're renaming Fat Kid, by the way, supposedly because of fat shaming or something. Like they're gonna rename it to something else, which is like, are you kidding me? Like it there's nothing to do with anyone. That it's just because you're moving slowly because you're like encumbered.
Yeah.
It was a really bad joke, but it stuck for some reason, and that's why it's called that. But okay.
But yeah, so and then so I guess from my point of view at least, the game was not supposed to. They had slated it to release last year, and then they had delayed it, which is okay because
It needed it.
sometimes delays need to happen for a game to come out as they should, right?
Right.
The biggest problem I have is the year delay didn't like we're not seeing Forge, right?
No, we're not seeing Forge. We're not seeing co-op
co-op
campaign. We're not seeing.
And
They don't even have Slayer or any of the Slayer variants or free for all of the game right now. I didn't even know that these game modes weren't in the game until I think it was Tuesday. This past Tuesday, I found out. Oh, they're not in the game. And you know what?
Yeah.
How could I know? I can't select what game mode I want to play. So how am I supposed to find out what games are in and not? Because it's like a loot box of game modes. You click on quick match or what? There's three options: quick match, big team battle, and ranked.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, like you click on big team battle and it'll put you in a big team battle arena game mode. But it can be anything from just Slayer big team battle to capture the flag big team battle to something else entirely. Like you don't have any stick, And with the ranked stuff, same thing, except not like it can put you in big team battle. It can put you in like some kind of objective based oddball or something like that. It can put you in really anything that obviously isn't free for all or Slayer because either of those game modes are in. Slayer, like the game mode for Halo multiplayer, like the default game mode is not in at launch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess kind of is, but you can't queue for it like separately, right? Like you're not. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess my point is, you have all these things where Halo and even games historically have released with these full features, right? So my question is, what was the year of delay for, if not to work on these things?
I think it was probably for the campaign, honestly. From what I've been hearing,
my question is,
it's actually good.
What would the game have looked like if they had released it a year ago?
It would have been far worse somehow.
It would have been completely unplayable, right? Like so. Yeah. It's hard for me to believe, I guess, that they'll continue to provide like actually good updates and patches and stuff like that, and continue to add stuff to the game, especially when we had this year delay and now we're looking and they said it'll be 3 months for co-op and then 6 months after for Forge.
That's what they originally said.
Like,
so
as much as I hated that, it
was
like, okay, right?
Originally Joe Staten was like, unfortunately we're not gonna be able to launch with co-op campaign or Forge, and then he talked about how the beauty of live services they can later, which I think is a lot of crap, but essentially they said 3 months post launch as part of season 2 because the multiplayer battle pass seasons are going to be quarterly. So they said season 2, which will be 3 months after launch, is going to be co-op campaign, and 6 months after launch is going to be Forge, which is 3.
Yeah.
However, that has since changed.
It's been further pushed back by another 3 months for both, so another quarter for both.
So we're looking earliest for co-op campaign. Earliest we're looking at May or June of 2022. And June or July of 2022 for Forge.
Yeah, so I believe the estimates are
earliest.
May for co-op and then August for Forge.
Yeah, because Joe Staten specifically said late summer. So, but a lot of other news outlets have just been saying, I think June anyways. But yeah, I'm going with it's probably early September if we're being fully honest here.
Yeah, early September or late August. And so I guess my thing is, as like I said, I honestly, it's the most fun I've had probably since Reach. Like I played 4 a bit. I played even less of 5. I just didn't necessarily enjoy them. but the gameplay in this and the weapons are really, really good.
It is
But-
it is fun, and I found myself wanting to play more a lot, which is why I have. I'm just putting
Yeah.
up Steam. Screw it. I want to know how many hours I have for this. Let's see. I have played 9.3 hours according to Steam.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like,
yeah, I've played I think 30. And yeah, so I guess the other thing that I had was, like you had said, touching back on the game modes.
you've played
With that,
20.4.
you're finding people who will go into they'll quick match, or they'll go into big team battle, and if they don't get the game mode they want, they immediately leave.
And that's
Sometimes
honestly,
you'll be getting into games where there's half the team is gone and then the other team's just destroying you.
and that's
And then you're going,
tip
well, I
of
want
the
to play and I don't
iceberg
care which
too.
game mode, but I don't want to keep leaving games.
And that's also the tip of the iceberg, because you have the whatchamacface. What was it? The yeah, so you have people leaving matches because, yeah, this isn't the game mode I wanted to play, so they leave. But then you have the challenge system. Progression system
Yeah.
isn't... Pretty much, in order to progress, to level up and get XP and all that, the only way to do it in this game is challenges. Normally in Halo, take Master Chief Collection, for instance. In Master Chief Collection, challenges reward you extra XP on top of the XP you'd normally earn through just simply playing a match and your performance in that match.
Mhm.
And if you win. Like, so in Halo Reach and in every Halo since then, until Halo Infinite, because I think Halo Reach was the one that added XP for not just winning matches, but your independent performance in the match. But
Yeah, and then they also had it was like a lottery where you could get a random amount of credits and stuff.
right, but it's like essentially
Yeah.
you win a match, right? Or say you don't win a match, you're just playing, but I'm playing Firefight in Halo Reach, and I get a freaking Kilimanjaro. That's going to mean I get a shit ton of XP when that match is over.
Yeah.
If you're playing a regular Slayer match, matchmaking, and you get a triple kill versus the guy that didn't get a triple kill, but you're on the same team and you won, you're going to be getting more XP than him because of your performance in that match. That's how it used to work. Even Halo 5 got that right. And Halo 5's progression system was completely based on loot boxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the thing with these challenges is you find people will get into a game, and if they can't do their challenge, they'll either leave, or for instance, I believe there was a challenge with some of the vehicles. And basically what you had found was
So
people would get into the game and they would sit right beside the vehicle spawn. You'd
Pretty
have
much,
three
essentially,
people
they
sitting right
ignore-
beside the vehicle spawn doing
Yeah, and-
nothing.
they ignore the match. Like, okay, it's captured a flag. Hey, why aren't you helping defending their flag or helping taking their flag? Sorry, I gotta do this challenge.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't playing the game and instead are just in the game so they can complete a challenge and then move on to the next one, which ruins the experience for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's so I guess those are my main concerns. I guess there's one more concern that I have is so I tried to get into ranked and with a couple of buddies, and almost every single match, save like not almost every single match, sorry, about half of the matches, we would have somebody crash or disconnect.
Ooh.
And the biggest problem with that is you're playing ranked, so you're playing to win, you're playing for a rank, right? So when somebody leaves or disconnects, obviously you're probably not likely to win because they're not able to join back.
Yeah, there's
So you
you can't join a friend's
Matches
game.
where, yeah, you have matches where essentially I get in and, oh, somebody crashed and now we've lost the game. What do you do?
Or sometimes I've seen it where it loads you into the match, but it doesn't load your buddy. And other times I've seen it where, I think this happened on Angry Joe had this happen, I believe, where they loaded in together, but then they ended up loading in on separate teams. when they were loading
Yeah, I
in the
haven't
same
had
team.
that one or anything, but yeah, lots of
But
issues
inconsistency
with like,
is the problem.
and I guess for me it's some of these things, so like crashes and maybe disconnects are something that I mean, maybe it was spotted in the beta, but generally speaking, those kinds of
This
things
is the
are
beta.
issues where people have to play the game to figure it out, right? Like a mass amount of people. Um, the problem is I don't think they've said anything about fixing it. I don't think they've said anything about reconnect, like being able to reconnect, because it wouldn't be an issue if, like, say I disconnected and then I could reconnect within the next 30 seconds. Big deal. But when I disconnect or my game crashes and then I'm sitting going, I can't get back in the game and I've just lost rank, it's extremely frustrating for me.
Right, because it punishes you for not being able to connect, which isn't your fault.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I
outside
died and
things.
got 0 kills in this match, so I lost rank. It's, no, the game decided to have a hiccup and not work, and I'm suffering because the game
And now
isn't
you're
finished.
punished for it. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of gameplay though, I really do enjoy it. I think quite a few of the weapons they've added are quite fun. Like the Hydra it's an interesting weapon to use.
Yeah, that was, I think that was implemented with Halo 5, and I actually enjoyed it in Halo 5, and that's the thing, Halo 5, so I played a lot of Halo 5 when it, annoyingly at times, because, like every Halo game I get, up until Halo 5, I always play it with my brother and my friend. We do co-op and play through the campaign, and then we'll screw around in like some Slayer matches or something. Couldn't do that in Halo 5 because no split screen. There was online co-op when it launched, but it was super glitchy, and none of my friends had an Xbox One. So I was just alone. My brother was in the room with me, and we were like kind of playing the campaign together, quote unquote. And it was so abysmal. I had never touched the campaign since then. I've only played it once, but the multiplayer was pretty fun in Halo 5. It wasn't Halo, but it was fun.
Yeah, I've heard it was actually quite a good game, but it like you said, it wasn't
essentially,
exactly
best way to
Halo.
describe Halo 5 is good game, bad Halo.
Yeah.
Because the custom games were pretty much the only redeeming factor for me in Halo 5. Because the custom games in that were, think Halo Reach, but turned up to 11 because of the Forge. This is the best Forge. Halo 5 had the best Forge since Reach.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think it's better. Like, you can do scripting and stuff, so it was really cool. But, and there's a lot of fun stuff there. And Halo 5 had game mode specific ranking, so my rank in a Slayer game mode would be different to Big Team Battle, or whatever the other game modes are. It also launched with every Slayer variant. It didn't have Infection or Big Team Battle at launch, but they, unfortunately, at least they were added in within the year. I think it was 7 months. Yeah. And most of the content was in.
So, another thing that that made little to no sense to me was they had added in. I don't know if you had played for the Fiesta event in Halo Infinite here.
I haven't. The last time I played, I think, was last Wednesday.
Okay, so yeah, in November they had an event for, I think it was a week, where they had Fiesta. So obviously, if you've never played Halo, Fiesta is you get 2 random guns. You just spawn with 2 random guns every time you die. The issue I have is the fact that they didn't leave it in the game.
They put Fiesta in and then they took it out.
Yeah. So you have a party game mode in a game that I think really could have used it, especially with the lack of overall game modes. But then you refuse to leave it in. It just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe there's a reason. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't heard about it, but it just makes little to no sense to me why they would be removing stuff when a lot of people are asking them to add stuff.
The problem is the lack of content. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I don't know. They do this with Master Chief Collection at times too, which I'm not a fan of. Where it's like, you know, Fiesta. They've done it with Fiesta. Like they'll put it in for this event, and then like Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden they'll take it out. I'm like, what? I was having a shit ton of fun. I love Fiesta's one of my favorite game modes. Put it back in.
Yeah. And listen, I get if they want to do that, right? But my lack of understanding comes from the fact that they have little to no party games already. If the game had a bunch of other game modes that you could play and you could choose between, where you could say maybe you don't want to play an objective based, you want to have some fun, play like a Fiesta or a party game mode, right? Yeah, then they should have that in, and I just think it's a big mistake to take, you know, the only one that you had in at the time out.
Yeah, it's a little absurd because you're sending your problem is lack of content. You add in more content for an event, and then you remove it. You're essentially you have a problem which you made purposefully. Let's be honest here. They released this game. This game, in some cases, this game needed more time to be finished. In other places, this game was purposely designed to be obstructive and annoying. You know, but here, this was a case of this need more time because you guys either, for whatever reason, didn't finish it. You had 6 years. 2015 was when Halo 5 launched. And obviously for about I want to say 2016 or 17, I want to say late 2016 was when Halo 5 was quote unquote finished, like actually complete. So let's just say 2017, like early 2017, so January. That's when they started working, right? Like for argument's sake.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been doing since then? Now I know in previous kind of videos and stuff, they said that they were going to build it in the Halo 5 engine, but it wasn't tough enough. It wasn't up to the task, so they had to make a new engine, which isn't like people think it's a new engine. It's not. It's a new engine in the same way that the Halo 4 engine is a new engine from the Halo Reach.
Yeah, or
even
like
though Noble Team
Unreal
is in
3
the
and Unreal 4 are technically different engines.
Right, like even though a Noble Team is in Halo 4's game files. Except for George, but the rest, like all the Spartan 3 of Noble Team are game files. Like, it's still the Blam engine that Halo has been using for the last 20 years. Or the modified version that each game has been incrementally changing as the game comes out.
Yeah,
so this is just a modified Halo 5 engine, which means all the stuff from Halo 5 and some of the game, the file leaks I've seen, show assets from CE in the game. Like, CE assets, not remade CE assets.
Yeah.
But you have the stuff there. Why are you... Like, where is it? Like, why isn't it in the game?
The biggest thing for me too is, and like I said, as somebody who played a lot of like custom games made by people,
I used to love making maps for custom games. Yeah.
It's like, so from my perspective, you have a community that you know will make these fun game modes, and they will, I guess, given the tools, it's extremely likely that people will be making these game modes. And honestly, I can't say that I've ever done any like game design or anything in that sense, but I can't imagine it would be extremely hard to put in something like Infection. You have a community, and even if you didn't want to put in Infection, you have a community that, if given the tools, will do stuff like that. So
in the Master Chief Collection,
why neither of these things happened
in the Master Chief Collection right now, there are Halo Reach custom games because they implemented the custom games browser finally, and using Halo Reach is forged. Halo Reach from 2010, 11? I don't remember anymore.
That was a while back.
Yeah, going at least 10 years. In Halo Reach's Forge, people have managed to recreate Among Us and Among Us custom games in Halo Reach.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you can easily make freaking Infection.
Oh yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like it's as simple as tuning some stuff in the game, right? Like one person spawns with the sword and they have maybe a grapple hook or whatever it might be, right? But it's difficult for me to see why it didn't, like why it's not happening. And I guess maybe they're more focused on getting co-op and foraging than they are about stuff like that. But
Or they're trying to do what every other live service does, which is essentially here's the game, we cut it up, and then we either sell it back to you, or we'll incrementally release new, quote unquote, new features in over a period of time to artificially extend the game's lifespan. When you're just killing off your player base as you're doing this, because instead of waiting, people are just going to move on or play the older Halos that they can now with MCC.
yeah.
Like,
Well, and I think the other thing is I guess it depends on what you look at as a definition of a live service game, right? But Halo, to me, historically has not been a live service game.
no,
And it's not right now. I think they're using it more as an excuse, as like, okay, we should
they're
have
using
done
a lot
this
of
and we
things
should
as
have
an
had this stuff put in, but we didn't. And so we can say it's live service. Because to me, a live service game is, so like World of Warcraft, for example, is a game that I used to play quite a bit. That to me is live service because they're adding new content in a way that's not like adding in a game mode, right? Like it would be like adding in another campaign for Halo or more parts of the campaign, and that to me speaks more to live service than a multiplayer game.
well, I mean, the
Yeah, I
live
don't
service
know.
at the end of the day is pretty much just, you know, like Destiny 2, Anthem, Fallout 76. These are all like live service type games, and Halo Infinite as well. But it's just the live service model is essentially a scam, for better or worse. If whether you like it or not, it's essentially, let's scam the player base instead of making a solid, complete product. We will, whether it's negligence or purposefully done, have an incomplete game, and uh, add the missing content in over a period of time to essentially make it a live service where you're giving additional content to the game to keep it alive. When Halo, like, I'm still playing Halo CE. It's been 20 years. I'm still playing this game. Halo Reach still has a very active community. Halo 3 still has a very active community. And those games are nearing, 20 years as well. Or at least 15. And that's because Halo, at least Halo specifically, has always been kept alive through custom games. Like, that was the natural lifespan extender for Halo. Like, once the game's launched, it's out, that's it. Like, the devs are done, they move on to whatever the next project is. But, say with, Halo Reach, okay, they released Halo Reach, that was it. They released Halo Reach, and it released with Forge, all these game modes and stuff in. I think it was the biggest Halo game we've gotten at the time.
Yeah.
It definitely was. I think it's still the biggest game that we've gotten in terms of Halo that we've gotten at launch.
Yeah, well, and so I guess to me, I don't think live service is inherently a scam because so if you look at something like Destiny, right? I think it's a little bit extreme to say that they could have had all the content they have now out when it released, right? Because I guess there's a difference to me between something like Destiny, which includes raids, new content, progression mainly, right? Like a realistic progression, whereas Halo has, generally speaking, not been about progressing your gear or your character or anything in that sense. It's about progressing your cosmetics and progressing your rank and stuff like that, right?
Right, because you want to get with
your level.
a higher rank so you can get with the higher skill level players and matches and wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, and so to me, Destiny is one thing because, yeah, like I said, I don't think there's any reasonable way they could have released all of that content at that time. And I mean, obviously with like stuff like raids, it's not possible. But with Halo, we're talking about an arena shooter where new content isn't in terms of progression, it's in terms of new gameplay, like new modes and stuff like that. So it just doesn't speak to live service to me. I don't know, it's difficult because I think they have the best intentions. Well, I think some of them, right, have the best intention. I think obviously there's a lot of monetization that is not within the best intentions of the community.
$20 for a
But I
freaking
think-
skin and helmet.
Yeah, I think their idealization of constantly, consistently updating the game with like live service, like you said, is a good thing. But I think they're also at the same time using it as a cop out, right? Like, oh, it's okay that we didn't release with Forge, and it's okay that we didn't release with co-op, because we're gonna service it later.
Right, and I just
that's
don't
just
like that. It's
not
like they're treating it as though this is additional content to be added in later, when it's no. Like previous games, like forget this other games, just Halo games alone. Previous Halo games have launched with these things. Like the whole point of a
Yeah.
sequel is to try and outdo the last one and be better. If you know whether it's better because it's a bigger thing or better because it just the things that are in it are now been more refined. But Halo Infinite launched with less content than Halo 5. At least with Halo 5, you know, like, yeah, everything was tied to loot boxes. And you can spend hundreds of dollars on loot boxes in that game. It was horrible, but at least there was, you know, everything else was relatively normal. The gameplay wasn't, but like how the game worked, all the back-end systems, the quality of life features were all still there from the previous Halo games. Yeah, some of the game modes had to be added in later, but we weren't waiting a year for them to be added. In some cases,
Yeah.
at least. Like Forge was added
exactly.
in 2 months after launch, December. Released in October, and Forge came out in December. Like
Yeah.
here, we're waiting
Yeah.
onward
It's
to
like
six months to a
really
year.
difficult thing, I guess, but
Like I'm curious
think-
if there will still be a player base for Halo by the time Forge comes out. I know a lot of people that are holding back on the game because there's no Forge, because they're like me, they love making maps for custom games and they can't do any of that.
Mhm. Well, and like I said, I think the biggest thing is, I guess I understand the whether or not I agree with it. I understand them releasing Forge and co-op at a later date, because if it wasn't ready, it wasn't ready, and if it was overambitious executives telling them they need to release the game within this amount of time, then that's okay, right? The
Yeah.
biggest issue I have is like it being pushed back, because at that point it's not about that, right? It's about promising, not promising, but in a way promising stuff and then not delivering on it. And I just don't think it's excusable in a way. But I don't know, it's really difficult, because like I said, it's probably the most fun I've had in a Halo since Reach. But at the same time, it's like, how long am I just gonna play these 3 game modes of multiplayer?
And that's the problem. It's like, well, okay, you're playing these 3 game modes, and yeah, sure, the gameplay's fun, but I think that's the hook. It's fun gameplay. But where's the line and sinker? Like, there's no reason
Yeah.
to continue playing once. That's why I'm playing like once, well, practically almost twice a month at this point. Like, I have no reason to
Yeah.
continue playing. Between
And
the
ranked for me was a
completely
big reason
bored-
to continue playing, but the issues with it where, you know, like I said, losing games because somebody's disconnecting or their game is crashing is just, it draws so much away from it. So there's, at this point in time, at least for me, there's nothing that really could incentivize me to keep playing. And I think that's a big problem they're gonna see.
Yeah, I mean, my problem is that you have, like, yeah, the gameplay can be as fun as hell, and you can play till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, what's keeping you playing? Because you can't play the same thing over and over and over. You're gonna get bored or tired or whatever. Like, And since you're not getting rewarded for your play, for your time and effort that you're putting into the game, it kind of begs the question: what's the point?
Well, and that's that's the other thing too, was like, so for Halo Reach for me, I remember looking through the point shop and going, "Oh my god, I want that helmet." Right?
Yeah.
Like I want Emil's helmet so badly. I will play until I get that. Right? And so when I had seen that they added all of Noble 6 into Halo Infinite, I was like, I want to play and get that stuff. And then I looked and I seen it was locked behind a paywall.
All
and
of
I
it.
went, yeah, all of it. And I went, so where is this customization that we were promised? And why would I be incentivized to play for this stuff if I still have to pay for it? It just doesn't make sense.
In the words of Cam, you see because fuck you.
Yeah, well, essentially, right? Because and that was the biggest thing to me, was they could have released so many different things, right? And with the battle pass, but the one thing that they did decide to release was playing on people's nostalgia.
Oh yeah,
Heavily
that's Halo
playing on
Infinite in a
people's nostalgia
nutshell.
for pay.
Halo Infinite has been using nostalgia for most of its marketing, especially way back in 2018, 2019 with the cinematic trailers. But the problem, like, I guess we're going to talk about the Battle Pass here. At least to me, Battle Passes, and my only experience with them, granted, is through the Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite, they seem to be designed to be purposefully obstructive. Essentially, it's designed to make the player jump through hoops, waste their hard-earned credits on items they don't want or need, just so they can get to that item they do want, or you can pay for convenience and just get it right away with money. Like, in the case of Halo, the Master Chief Collection, you look at the Battle Pass and you have to you get your points, which, you can grind those, like, at least 5 of those out a week, probably. But, that's not a lot, because you have those tabs, right, those little, like, essentially, you have a season, a Battle Pass Season 1, right, or Season 5, or whatever it is. There are like 10 tabs, and each tab has 10 items. If you wanted something on tab 3, you have to unlock the first 2 tabs in their entirety, which means wasting...
whereas if... Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, which means wasting 20 points, which, again, are not... You can't just earn as much as those as you want. Some of those are also reliant on weekly challenges, and others, it takes an entirety... Like, you have to level up in order to earn, like, 2 at a time. So it's not great there either. The only difference is that they're not charging real money, but...
If you look at Reach's system, right, it was essentially you had to spend credits on stuff, and you also had to have rank for stuff. Right, so
your rank would determine what you unlocked, and then you use the credits to then purchase so that you can equip that item.
Yeah, whereas... And that makes so much more sense to me, because then I'm not... like I said, I see this one helmet, and I'm going, I know I have to save my
Even
credits
Halo
for this,
4
and
had
I can
it
get
better.
it as
Halo
soon
4
as I get to this rank.
Yeah,
whereas now it's like, I guess I have to buy all this stuff that I know I will never touch, never use, that I feel like my time is going into.
Because
right?
it is.
I'm spending my time into this, whereas before it was largely like, this is stuff I wanted, and it feels okay to spend my time getting this stuff.
Right, because in Halo Reach, and even Halo 4, there was no credits, but there was rank, and essentially it was just, you get a rank, you get up to a certain rank, you unlocked it, there you go. There was no, they got rid of the credits part, but it was still the rank, like, okay, this weird-ass looking helmet with a freaking unicorn horn on it is behind rank 70, or whatever the hell it is. I don't even remember what rank, like, how much ranks there were in Halo 4, but, you had that. And then you had, like, these specialty armors that were locked behind specific, rank caps. Like, you reached rank 20, you got this. You reached rank 50, you got this. Like, right, that was, like, part of reaching that rank. Whereas, like, the Aviator was, like, unlocked at rank 3, There was... Or I think it was unlocked by default. But, like, you had, like, these specialty armors that were, again, weird as hell because it was Halo 4, but the like you saw the armor, it was locked behind a specific rank, and once you got to that rank, you can wear it. And when you saw someone wearing it during a match, you go, "Oh man, they got X, like they must have gotten to that rank. How did they get so high so quickly and stuff like that?" Like, and that's what Halo used to be. Like, you know, the Recon helmet in Halo 3, right? You do the Vidmaster challenge to get the helmet.
You'd see it and you'd go, "Wow!"
And you'd go, "Wow, they did the challenge. They got it." Like, or the Mark 5 helmet in Halo Reach, right? That means they did the legendary. They completed legendary. I think solo was how you unlocked it. It's like,
Yeah,
and again, it's kind of like when you saw people running around in specific gear in Halo, it was always tied to some kind of challenge or rank
in-game achievement.
So it's when you saw someone running around, you're like, "Oh man, they got that helmet." And like when you were running around, people were going to you like, "Man, how did you get that? Like, you got that helmet, dude! Awesome!" Like, there was a kind of panache to it, but now it's all.
You see somebody and they're wearing June's armor,
and you go, "Oh, they paid $20 for it."
Yeah. Oh, I guess that guy put $50 in the game. I don't know.
And that's the thing. You can spend $100 on just the in-game currency.
Yeah, and so I guess another thing, and I mean, I don't think. So I don't want to speak too heavily on the cosmetics because I think it's pretty obvious what the point of view is from us, right? But
right.
I had also seen that because they had promised that there would be achievable in-game cosmetics.
They did.
That you would just have to play for. So I've seen images and looking through the battle pass, you can see there are armors where essentially you can get them through progression, but you can also pay for them, and it's slightly, ever so slightly different. Like there might be a blue light on the chest, there might be whatever, and so it's like even if you did achieve this stuff, it's still being slightly taken away because you're
getting a lesser version of it.
Money, essentially.
And like, yeah, if you say you can unlock this helmet, but you can't unlock the attachments for it because you have to pay for it. It's like, and again, they said, I think it was in one of the developer videos, I think for the technical overview of the multiplayer, it said anything you can, anything you can unlock anything through gameplay that you can through purchasing or something along those lines. But pretty much, bottom line is, if you can purchase it, you can also unlock it through gameplay, which was a lie because you can't. Like, if you're playing and you don't spend a dime like us, you have maybe 2 helmets and like a chest piece and a forearm thing, and that's about it. And some coatings and some skins. But if you're paying, you have everything because you paid for it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I said. It's really difficult for me to say it's bad because it's not bad. It's not a bad game. It's absolutely.
Well, no, we should specify. It's good gameplay, but the game itself is bad. Because
the
gameplay.
Definitely, I think there are definitely things.
Because the hoops you have to jump through to get to the gameplay, like, you know, the rain, like the freaking loot box matchmaking system, essentially. It's annoying. You can't just, I just want to load in and play a few matches of Slayer. Like, I can't do that.
Well, and I guess the biggest thing for me too is they had said that the biggest thing that they wanted to do with Infinite was give players more control over cosmetics and the way they play and stuff like that, right? And it just seems like they've taken it away.
Well, that's the thing that bugs me most, and I remember saying this a year ago, but the whole, like, when they announced the armor coatings, they're getting rid of color customization. You know, it's for better expression of player freedom or something like that. This was in the Inside Infinite article talking about armor coatings, which you can view on Halo Waypoint. And they were talking about, like, it's for player choice and expression, right? Better freedom of expression. Which is a load of shit, because Halo Infinite, at least to me, everything about it is essentially ripping choice away from the player in favor of forcing the player to either jump through hoops or pay to get past those hoops. It's make a problem, sell the solution.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, maybe they turn it around, but right now, I don't think the game has longevity. Like, I don't think there's any way that we see their plan to be 10 years from now still releasing content for Halo Infinite. It just doesn't seem realistic to me.
And that's what always makes me laugh is, oh, this is the next Halo for 10 years. I don't have enough fingers to name every live service title that is claimed to be X game of 10, like, for 10 years.
Well, I mean, you even look at Destiny, which was supposed to be
The first
for
one.
10 years. The first Destiny, yeah. It was supposed to be a 10-year game where that, and it's Bungie themselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
So
2 years
then
later,
all
they
of
make
a sudden,
Destiny 2.
3 years later, there's a new game, and you're spending more money, and you're spending, it's just, it doesn't. I don't know. It's hard. It's
Yeah, and
extremely hard
then
in
you
the
have.
gaming-
That's why I said it's a paradox, because it does, like, Halo Infinite does have good moments, like the gameplay, but then you have stuff like everything else, and like the gameplay does matter at the end of the day. But if I have trouble getting into a game or having fun with the game itself, right, because my buddy can't log in or whatever it is, then you failed, because like the gameplay can be fun as hell, but if the game around the gameplay doesn't work, all the systems don't work, then at least in my eyes, you failed, because how am I supposed to get to the gameplay if I can't navigate everything else?
Yeah.
If everything
Yeah,
else
exactly.
is a shitstorm, I have to navigate through.
Yeah. It essentially comes down to the fact that they just, like you said, they failed on a lot of other things, and they succeeded on the gameplay. But if I'm looking for a new game to play consistently, maybe if I want to play it for a week, then I want to play a fun game that I can play for a week and then never play again. But if I want to play it for the next 10 years, then the gameplay can't be the only thing. It just can't. It's not realistic. I think it's a little bit silly to say that it's like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard, I guess, like I said, because everything else about the game, like, other than gameplay, is just difficult. So,
It just at times it feels like a chore, especially some of those load times for getting into a match. Or it's like there's a countdown. Like, first there's a load bar, then there's the countdown. And it's like, and then you have the loading screen. Like, it can take upwards of 15 minutes to get into a match.
I think it's quicker now, because originally what they had was, it was like quite a bit longer to get into a match.
Yeah.
But essentially, if you left a match, or even if you got disconnected or your game crashed 2 times in a row, you got a 30-minute ban from playing.
What?
And so obviously people were complaining about that, because if your game crashes and then you're banning people because
again,
your
you're
game crashed,
being punished for essentially an incompetent game at the moment, or a malfunctioning game. Let's say less. I was gonna
And
go
so
super
they had
rude
gotten
there,
rid of the ban, and what they did was I think they'd made it so the matchmaking was quite a bit more simple, where you would get into games quicker, but then you could leave games without getting banned or whatever. But there's just so many things and little things, steps along the way, where you sit and you go, that makes me not want to play. That makes me not
again. It's
makes
like,
me not want to play.
It's a chore at times, and you're navigating a shitstorm.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there's the gold at the end of this rainbow, but this rainbow is not a rainbow; it's a shitstorm that I have to freaking travel across, and I don't like it. It makes you question, like, is it worth just navigating all this mess? I don't know, just like obviously, from what I hear, a lot of people are like, okay, the campaign was what most of the time went to, and the multiplayer clearly was more of an afterthought, given how good the campaign is compared to the multiplayer. And I'm fully willing to believe that. Honestly, I'm fully waiting. Remember how I said I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Schreier made an expose detailing the behind the scenes mess of Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Supposedly he's working on something. And I'm like, I was expecting a Jason Schreier style expose. I wasn't expecting Jason Schreier himself to go, oh yeah, no, it was a mess. Don't worry, we'll have a story. Like, look to Bloomberg, for a story in like a few weeks. Like, oh, great.
Yeah.
So that's interesting,
Yeah.
but like, because like there has to have been something. Like we know, obviously, 2020, we saw the campaign demo, and everyone, like, we did a reaction of it, and we thought it was like, yeah, it was clearly a tech demo at best, but like the graphics were not the problems I was having, anyways.
Well, and so even then, like, I think there was quite a few, things that they had actually fixed from then.
Yeah, they totally
just
fixed. Like, for instance, you just look at the visuals, at least, definitely an
the
improvement.
guns, the armor, the weather
Yeah.
effects.
But
all
then
these
you,
things.
and they did fix the. I still don't like the sidekick design. It still looks way too contemporary. It's better than it was. It doesn't look like a high point anymore. Now it looks like a 5.7.
Yeah.
But it's just the whole. But you look at last year, and that was before Joe Staten came on, which I still think was a bit of a PR move, but also because, hey, because I think before Joe Staten left, I don't remember who the head of everything was at the time. He left, and there was like a big creative difference stuff going on. There was like there was problems behind the scenes, and then Joe Staten came on, and I'll give him credit. He has experience making games last minute. Look at Halo 2, but at least with the multiplayer and the campaign, like, first off, at this point, multiplayer and campaign are two separate games.
Now, yeah.
I mean, yes, you can get stuff in the multiplayer from playing the campaign. Actually, I have a list of everything that you can get. It is very, very trivial. And by that, I mean, it's just all armor coatings and skins and weapon charms. So if you're expecting, oh, I get the campaign, I can play, I play the campaign, I get, maybe a cool helmet in multiplayer. Nope. All you're going to get is armor coatings, weapon coatings, Spartan emblems, and I think a few vehicle coatings. Yes, vehicle coatings. That's it. Oh, and one stance. So that's all you get from playing the campaign. And that's it. I think honestly, like, we can go into whole, is the campaign worth $60 or not? Like, from what we've seen, because we haven't played it, but we've seen some.
Okay, so I can actually touch on that with a perspective from somebody who has played it, and so this is not my opinion. This is what I was told, and this is by somebody who I played the majority of the campaigns with on Legendary. I have played custom games with this person for all throughout Reach 3, all these games. Basically what I was told was, unless you're a major Halo fan, wait till it's on sale.
And even then, I bet, because I am a major Halo fan, and I wouldn't get this for $60.
No, yeah.
And I don't have like that. I don't even know who the person is. Like, that's a friend of yours. Like, I just from what I've seen, like from some of the cutscene stuff, early game cutscenes I've seen, and some of the gameplay footage, like, yeah, it looks great, but the single biome for me, because Halo Infinite's campaign only has one biome, which is pretty much what you see in the cover art on the screen right now. Like, that's it. It's just more of that. It differentiates here and there with Foreigner architecture, banished structures, and what have you. But at the end of the day, it's just one biome, and to me, multiple biomes and kind of the settings that you're in is part of the Halo campaign experience. You go to the first Halo game, and you start off with the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, right, with the trees and mountains, and then next game you're in more of just like a rocky mountain area, like a Black Mesa style area.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're on the Covenant ship. And then the next level for Silent Cartographer, you're on the island. Again, more grassy plains and rocks, hills. But then you have Assault in the control room. Right? You start off in a Forerunner structure, and then by the end of it, or by midway, and then again the end of it, you're in icy tundras.
Yeah.
Now, then later you're
Yeah,
you're in more Black Mesa deserts, right? Like that's.
Yeah.
There's always been a variety of environments. Even Halo 4, Halo Reach, all these games have continued that trend of just variety in the biomes.
Yeah, and so one of the more specific things I can speak on that my friend had told me about is so he's doing his first playthrough on Legendary, and historically Legendary is, if you haven't played Halo,
probably shouldn't
there's
play
5
first time on
enemies and you walk
Legendary.
out into them, you're dead.
Yeah.
If you walk out into the open for more than 5 seconds with enemies, you're dead. Right? Like, his biggest gripe with the game so far was, so essentially what happened was he had gone through the first bit of the mission, and he had gotten to the boss, and the boss, it saved him in a spot where the boss was killing him, and then he would reload, and then it would kill him, and he would reload it without time to do anything, right? And so he basically restarted the mission because it wouldn't let him restart from the last checkpoint. And essentially, he was able to just use the grapple hook to skip every single enemy. You didn't have to play the game. You could just skip everything. And it's just the level design and the design around it. It obviously wasn't with the idea of a grapple hook being able to skip stuff in mind. Like,
You
I
think
watched
it
him get
would?
to the first boss without killing a single enemy.
You'd think it would. I mean, Halo, like, that was the problem I had with Halo 5, was a lot of the, like, classic levels, quote unquote, were stretched out much larger than they used to be just to compensate for sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Which I found annoying in Halo 5, because, like, now I feel like I'm, like I get why they do it, for balance in this way. Your sprint, but it's like, it feels needless, because the whole point of sprint was that you'd be running faster, right? But then you're stretching the level out further, so that it's like you're not sprinting at all. What's the point? It's the same. I have a similar issue with Halo Infinite Sprint. As I say that though, I have yet to actually sprint in Halo Infinite. I have played for 9 hours without sprinting once. I was just playing classic. Like, I don't know. I'm playing Halo. What shift button? What's that?
Yeah. But yeah, I think it really speaks, because to me, when I had seen the grapple hook, the first thing that came to mind was, obviously there will be times where you can go past an enemy, right?
Right.
Like, you're gonna be able to grapple past an enemy, but the way it seemed to me was the intended use was, oh, you want to grab this, you want to grapple to an enemy, you want to get into a better spot to shoot. Like I said, maybe you want to grab a fusion coil to throw, right? That was, to me, the idea of its intended purpose, not to skip past every single enemy and basically not have to do parts of the mission. And so there's one part, I don't know if you played the Power Cell game mode on...
Is that the one where you have to collect the seed? You have to collect seeds and... Yeah, no, that was... Yeah. I kept making off-color jokes about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one part in the starting mission where you have to kill, I believe it's a brute.
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen the campaign
power
footage.
seed.
Tremonius or something is the first boss fight guy. Yeah, he has a
No,
Hydra
previous to
and a
that,
jump pack.
So previous to that, you have to kill an enemy, and it will drop a power seed, and you place the power seed in, and it activates a lift, right?
Okay.
The way they design the lift is in such a way that you don't have to kill the enemy. You do not have to activate the lift. You can grapple up it and skip that. it just doesn't seem like they had the foresight to realize these things.
I was talking to someone in SPV3 Discord server, and they were saying how they found a way to break Harmonious, the first boss fight's AI, by jumping up, like I think using the grapple and jumping up to a specific area, and the AI just crashed. Like, okay, now he's not moving. He doesn't know, like, his pathing doesn't go there or something. I don't know why.
You're
but
outside of his range or whatever it might be.
But he said he was able to do this glitch multiple times, and essentially just leaves the AI vulnerable for you to just unload all of your ammo into and kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so I think I'd spoken to you about this before, but largely from what I understand, the legendary difficulty largely comes from the bosses compared to the enemies. So in past Halos, if you're playing on legendary,
everything's
something
difficult.
like an elite, you have to use an energy weapon, get rid of its shields, and then use a ballistic weapon, and it still takes quite a bit of ammo.
Yeah, and it's not, you don't have to use an energy weapon, but it's essentially just play it smart or you are dead.
Play it smart or you're dead. In this, you can walk up to an elite and just shoot them, and they won't kill you. And that's in legendary. And I guess that is the starting elite, so it's not the higher level ones. But even if you look at Reach and you go back and play that,
Halo
in
Reach,
the first mission, the
that
elites
first
will kill
mission
you.
on Winter Contingency with those ultras show up on Legendary, you are just owned.
Yeah. Like, basically, the best way is either energy weapon and ballistics or to assassinate them, right?
Honestly,
you can just walk up and kill them.
Like in Halo Reach, on that first mission, when you first fight elites, during Winter Contingency, on Legendary, they're almost always ultras, and they have the plasma repeater, and essentially, okay, you hope, essentially, when you're in that encounter, you're hoping one of your teammates already killed one of them, so you can take their plasma repeater and use it to kill the others, because, unless you get behind them and do an assassination, you're kind of screwed. Because it's an open area, and there's 3 of them at least. So
yeah, there's, and so I guess the thing that my point is with that is, you look at these previous Halos, and it really puts you in the spot where you're playing Master Chief, fighting against a horde of warrior aliens, not fodder,
like the grunts.
They're warrior aliens, right? Like, and from my understanding, is this game largely feels like I said, the elites and the brutes are just a lead up to the bosses, and that's where the difficulty lies. So, which is, it doesn't, I guess to me, Halo was never about fighting. Obviously, there's the prophets, right? And what they represent, but it was never about fighting one big bad enemy.
No, I find it weird
about fighting the Covenant armies.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
Exactly. That's Halo to me is always, you are a unstoppable killing machine. You're one against many. You're outnumbered, outgunned. You're essentially but you're given a sandbox of toys to play with in order to achieve your goal. How do you do it? There's 100 Covenant between you and the next objective, but you have a bunch of different weapons to use. How do you go about it? Like, that's essentially what Halo was. It wasn't you versus X character. It was you versus every other available enemy AI that you can fight.
Yeah, it essentially was like you beat these extremely hard enemies to get to an objective that would be like, for Reach, like blowing up the Covenant ship, right?
Blowing
it wasn't
the Covenant
like you would
ship,
beat these easy enemies to get to a hard boss.
Usually the
like
hard boss was the objective in a way. You know what I mean? Where it's like, like the Covenant ship, that itself is the boss. But in order to but you don't actually fight the ship itself. You fight everything in the ship, and then press a button, and then there, you've killed the boss. I know that sounds bad on paper, but you played Long Night of Solace, and it's a very cool feeling.
or in 2 when you're on the scarab, right? It's not
Scarabs
like
are
the
definitely the
scarab is this
best
one
boss
big
fights.
boss enemy. It's about all these massive amounts of enemies that are, if obviously playing on legendary, extremely difficult. But the difficulty lies within the enemy and getting to your objective, not the objective itself.
Yeah, the journey, not or the great journey, as some might say, not the destination.
Yeah.
It's that's a good example. Like Halo 3 Scarabs were probably the best boss fights in Halo. Obviously, I can't say for certain because now that Halo Infinite is out and it has Destiny style boss fights, maybe they're better. But
That is the single thing that I had said was it feels more like a Destiny boss than it feels like a Halo objective.
right. Like, I mean, obviously, Truth, and when you have to kill Truth in Halo 2, I mean, at the end, the boss fight was pretty much jump on his chair and punch the old man until he dies. But, you have...
Yeah.
That wasn't the actual fight. Like, the fight itself was, you have this guy with this mega particle cannon trying to kill you, and he has an army of honor guards and honor grunts that are trying to kill you at the same time. So you pretty much are fighting your way through grunts and elites, and then you get to the prophet, and as I said with Long Night Assault, you essentially press a button, and there you beat the boss by pressing that button. But it was getting to that boss that's what's fun.
Yeah.
And then you get obviously in later games they decided to forego punching old men because that was just really silly.
Yeah. Well, and so this isn't me saying that the campaign gameplay is bad or it's not enjoyable. It's just very much different from
What us
previous
old
Halos,
Halo
at least.
fogies expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So I guess that's about as much as I can give for my thoughts on the campaign because like you said,
we haven't
we
played
haven't
it, so yeah.
I wouldn't want to say it's a bad campaign or it's a amazing campaign.
No, which is why
or the boss fights are unfun or whatever because I haven't played it. But I can say that from what I've seen and from what people have told me, it's very, very much so deviated from what Halo.
All right, like another good example is Firefight in Halo ODST and Halo Reach. Like that's like why do you think because you're essentially that's what Halo is at its core, not the horde mode part, but where you're just it's one man or in the case of matchmaking Firefight or custom games Firefight, 4 people against an army. That's what Halo was always about. And even the original, you're one man against this entire army. Now, and yeah, you can have boss fights like, the Scarabs, like where, okay, the boss fight is this giant tank with enemies on it. But, I don't know, just to me, like, the Destiny-style bosses felt really out of place, But again, maybe it's actually fun. I don't know. I haven't played it. I probably won't, unfortunately, play the campaign for another year or so because of the lack of co-op.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing for me was historically I've always played, at least for my first playthrough, I played with friends, right?
Same, yeah.
So it's a really big. I wouldn't say disappointment, but in a sense a disappointment for me at least that wasn't there because that to me was what Halo.
To me, it's not. It's disappointment because Halo 5 had the same problem. Like, okay, you're essentially because when it came out, when the news of no co-op came out, it's like they were repeating Halo 5's issue. That was when that kind of started, like where the light started creaking through, and we were able to see, oh, this is just going to be another Halo 5 situation, evidently worse in regards to the content both games are launching with. And that sucks because every Halo game I've played, I've always played with my brother and my friends. Like that first time playthrough, like ODST, brother and I played it together, had a blast. Halo Reach, same thing. Halo 3, went to my friend's house and we played it together there the first time. Then I bought the game myself. like Halo 2 and Halo 1, same thing. You know, the first Halo game I played was Halo CE. I played it at my friend's house. He had an original Xbox, and we played the campaign in entirety together.
Yeah.
And that was always how it was. Like, I always played co-op first, and then I'd play single player later, because I can do single player whenever. But co-op was always, like, to me, was how you experience, because you can play with your buddies, and that's where the game was kind of its best. Was when you're playing with your friends and campaign, and kind of just fooling around, and having fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoying a new story together, but new entry in existing story. But now you can't do that, at least not for potentially another 6 months, if more.
Yeah, 6 months as an estimate, right?
Yes, that is, and seriously, at least May 2022. That's I'm gonna feel for it, because the game's out now. Well, like the entirety of the game's cutscenes are already on YouTube.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like I don't want to spoil
yes.
myself, but I also don't care if I do at the same time. Like that kind of sucks.
Yeah. I guess so, yeah. For me, one of two things will have to happen for me really to be incentivized to buy it. Would be co-op coming out, or if it was discounted.
Yeah.
Like
honestly, I'm going to wait for both. Like once co-op is implemented, great. Now when's the next sale?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not getting this for $60. Especially since, in order to play, unless I get it for my Xbox One, if I want to play co-op, someone else has to get it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Which means, okay, if it's not on sale, that defeats the purpose, because I don't know many people, like all my friends and my brother who are Halo fans, they're not going to, they're same as me, they're not going to purchase this for $60 just so that they can play a game. Like, no, they're going to wait for it to be like 30 or something, or like, 75% off or 80% off on Steam.
Yeah. Yeah. I and I really do hope that it's a good campaign, but
I do too, because Halo 5 was just atrocious. It was just all kinds of bad and lazy and stupid. I hate saying like, oh, it was stupid, but like it really was. I mean, Chief is a bad guy somehow because he knows what's going on, and like, yeah, it's just a massive plot. And they tried to ham in so much fan service. Blue Team was there, except they were just there for the sake of being there, and no purpose.
Except not there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, finally we have Blue Team in a game, and it sucks. Are you kidding me? Like, because I remember being super excited for that. I read all the books, and it's like, Blue Team, that's awesome. Fred and Kelly and Linda, and then you get Halo 5. Just why?
Yeah.
Like, I remember before Halo Infinite came out, I'm like, oh man, I wonder if we get, if you're playing co-op, do you get to play as Blue Team members or something like that? Because that would be cool. Obviously, we know now that wouldn't be the case, but I wanted Blue Team to return in a good way and not be in a crappy game, because they have so much potential. You don't know what Blue Team is, read Fall of Reach and read Ghost of Onyx. But Halo 5 story put Halo universe in a very, very odd place. Halo Shadows of Reach, which was supposed to be the book they released it, I think, last year in September, back when they thought Halo Infinite would be launching in November. And it actually painted a pretty cool picture for what the Halo universe is. Essentially, Cortana and her guardians, the giant metal owls, were policing the galaxy and essentially became a police state. So, the UNSC Infinity, the ship from Halo 4, is on the run. All the Spartans, everyone there, like, they're doing covert ops. Like, okay, we need to go. They go to Reach. They go to Halsey's old lab. They get some stuff. Because everyone's seen the trailers. You see the new AI. Put two and two together. Mm-hmm. It's not a spoiler. It's literally in the trailer. There's a new Cortana AI. How do you think that got made? So they go to Halsey's lab. They get they get a cryo bin, and that's the mission in that book. And it's such an interesting picture because you have the Banished there. They're looking for they call it the portal under the mountain, but they're looking for the second portal to the Ark that's on Reach, and that's how some Halo Wars 2 characters come into the picture and everything, and that's how the Banished become a bigger threat. But it was an interesting story. Like, it actually painted a pretty interesting picture. Like, okay, stealth is key because if you have a nuke go off, Cortana will know. He will come. He will have her guardians come, and everyone is just dead.
Yeah.
Like, there's that fear element, and actually kind of Troy Denning did that really well in that book. But I don't know. I seen we seen technically the opening, not the opening cutscene, but the intro cutscene of the game. You know what I mean? Like, because
Infinite, yeah.
There's a one that's spoilers. Which I haven't seen, but I heard about it, where what's face Atriox is there from 2. But then you have the one that's in all the trailers, where Chief wakes up on the Pelican, and so like they have essentially what feels like another game's worth of content, or at least half a game's worth of content, kind of missing just from what I know so far of the game's story. And like, okay, the UNSC lost this battle, and that's why the ring is split in parts and stuff like that. It's like, okay, but I want to see that battle. I want to participate in it. I want to play it. I'm just not a fan of this whole time skip. Now, the Infinity is gone, whether it's destroyed or just not at Zeta Halo. I don't know. Like, what happened? Like, between the games and all that. It feels very jarring, and this is coming from someone that literally reads the books and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just said, Shadows of Reach is actually a decent book, and that one ended with the blue team on the Infinity with Dr. Halsey and the freaking cryo bins. Like, okay, she's going to make new Tana, or clone Tana, or whatever you want to call her, the weapon.
Yeah.
Back to multiplayer, it's gameplay is fun. I haven't tried sprinting, so I can't say, and I probably won't.
And actually,
I'm just stubborn.
The sprinting implication, or implementation, certain implications. I don't actually mind it. I do. There's one thing I do like is the slide. Feels pretty good.
I haven't even slided either. The only thing I've done is clambered, because that's automatic. Although you can turn that into be a button press, but I figured, given the low jump height, automatic is definitely better to have.
Yeah.
But I will say this: why don't we go through the weapons in the multiplayer, because some of those are good, and then some of them are not. And I don't know about you, but playing on mouse and keyboard, I haven't played a controller yet, but playing on mouse and keyboard, there's something weird about the aim. It's not bad. It's just there's something a little off.
I didn't find anything really like that, I guess. But
it feels like sometimes I'm aiming and I shoot, but where I shot wasn't where the bullet hit.
Yeah, I haven't.
And then this isn't like a slow velocity weapon I'm firing. This is the freaking sniper rifle I've had this problem with.
Yeah.
Speaking of reticles, way too small.
Yeah.
Like the sniper rifle reticle, I might have. With the sniper rifle reticle, I might as well just take a red marker and paint the center of my monitor, because that just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, though, I have had some decent kill streaks with it. So yeah. I managed, but it shouldn't be this difficult.
Gameplay-wise, at least, I really do like the new weapons.
I feel the plasma carbine. That's what it's called. I'm just trying to remember what it's called, because you have the plasma repeater from Reach, then you have the storm rifle. Then I have to remember not to confuse it with the plasma spate from Halo Reach Evolved, which is an awesome mod. You have the plasma carbine. I feel that needs a buff.
Yeah.
I feel it's too weak for a plasma, because this is essentially this game's plasma rifle.
Yeah, I think the plasma carbine is one of the less used ones, I would say, in Halo for sure, because it's.
I thought I'd find myself using it all the time when I first saw footage of it. Because like, oh, burst fire, yes, plasma weapon, awesome. Yeah, interesting design, cool.
That one is a bit
manual over
what you were talking about before, where you're shooting and you're just. It's not going where you're shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going there, but it just the travel.
Well, I think there's homing with the plasma carbine, I think. But I think to its detriment, because it makes it your aim all wonky, because you're using it as though it doesn't have homing. Like when you're using the needler, you know it homes in, so you have a different mentality going in and firing it compared to the battle rifle or the assault rifle or plasma rifle.
But, so I guess there's a couple that I really like. I like the skewer. It's pretty
Skewer is so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm first time I picked it up, I'm like, oh, so this is the gun everyone's talking about, huh? Alright, I mean, it looks cool and all, but let's see how it goes. First shot, just right through a guy's head. I'm like, oh, I like this.
Yeah. And so, there's a couple other ones, which were the shock weapons, I guess, would be
the shock
rifle.
rifles I haven't had any luck with, so I don't like them.
No.
Just I tried the shock rifle and it feels, maybe it's just like the animations, or maybe it's the lack of oomph behind when you fire it, but it feels, it could be lack of like any sound design, but. And that's a problem I have with all the weapons, but I'll get to it later. But like the shock rifle, I need more time to use it, just because every time I use it, I don't really have any success with it, and I just pick up a different weapon. Or I die.
Okay.
with it before I can
found
really use it.
a fair bit of success with it, and so I really like those. The one thing that I can say, I love the way they feel. The one thing that I can say that really disappointed me about them was the fact that they used it as an excuse to take out plasma pistols doing stopping
so
vehicles,
for anyone
disabling
that's
vehicles.
watching and doesn't know or hasn't played, the plasma pistol, when in older, pretty much in every game from Halo 2, because Halo CE didn't do this, but in Halo 2, the Halo 5, you overcharge the plasma pistol and shoot a vehicle, it EMPs the vehicle, so the vehicle becomes immobile. If you do it to a Banshee, which was, like, I used to do this in Halo 2 all the time, just EMP Banshee, watch it come down and just hijack. Like that was the go-to maneuver with the plasma pistol. But in multiplayer anyways. But and campaign too. But like now the plasma pistol's overcharge does not EMP vehicles like in CE, where it didn't EMP vehicles. However, in CE, you can fire the plasma pistol as fast as you can pull the trigger. So if I can rapidly click my mouse, that's how fast the plasma pistol would fire. Now, obviously, depending on the battery levels of it, like if it's an 87% battery, I'm going to burn through that battery real quick. Even at 87%. But that was kind of like the trade-off. Like, it can EMP vehicles, but at least give it that. But Halo Infinite doesn't have that. It essentially makes the plasma pistol useless.
So it's
you can still do the noob combo though.
And so the other thing that the plasma pistol was used for was charging. You would charge and then you'd beat down, right? So it'd be like a one-hit combo, essentially.
Or charge up, hit some guy so it takes his shields away, then quickly switch to a magnum and shoot him. That was the old noob combo.
And so while it does still work like that in Halo Infinite, it is just it doesn't have a place because the Mangler can just do it better.
Yeah.
It just simply, the Mangler is better for it. And it's just, it's like, and I don't mind, because listen, they need to, like, I get them adding new weapons in, and I get them, changing some stuff around, but they essentially took a spot for the plasma pistol out of the game. Like,
they took the plasma pistol's really, like, most important use anymore. Like, it was called the noob combo for a reason. Like, they took the plasma pistol's most important use away from it.
Yeah.
Like I said, and it doesn't even have the Halo CE fire as fast as you can fire option. It's kind of useless.
The other thing I've noticed about it too is that the tracking on it, like the homing, is a lot worse. Like
Oh, yeah?
a fair amount worse.
I only used it once, and I died, and, yeah, it didn't go well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember,
It's-
did I kill him or not, but I honestly can't remember. But I don't think I did.
Yeah, so I guess for me the biggest thing was like in past Halos, if there was a weapon, there was a use for it, right?
Right.
In
like-
Halo Infinite, there's a couple of weapons where it
That
really
feel
feels
useless.
like you just don't pick it up. It's
Like-
not something you grab.
Like the plasma carbine, like I want to use that thing. It looks fun. I love the Halo Reach style manual venting. Like I want that for. I would love for just regular plasma rifles to have that.
Yeah.
But it's got this weird tracking that throws off your aim, and it doesn't do enough damage. It feels like I'm firing a plasma pistol in terms of damage, like per shot, at a slower rate and in rifle form. It just doesn't feel right.
Hmm.
Like it feels like a lighter weapon than it should be. This is Halo Infinite's version of the plasma rifle, because there is no plasma rifle in the game, and it doesn't work. Plasma pistol, yeah, all of its unique qualities have been taken away from it. And I'm not a fan that they're reusing the Halo 5 model for it, because that is the same model as Halo 5's plasma pistol,
Hmm.
which I thought looked way too not human. Like it's definitely alien looking, but it fits a human hand. Like it looks like it was designed to fit a human hand though. And the whole point of the plasma pistol, like I have a life-size plasma pistol prop that I made. This thing is massive. It's
Supposed to
bigger
be,
than
yeah,
your
like
thigh.
A massive alien weapon.
Yeah, like because I'm just a normal guy, and this thing
It's a
is
pistol
is
in
bigger than
name,
my
right?
thigh. This thing is huge. It's essentially, yeah, it's not as long as a rifle, but it's got the rest of the dimensions of a rifle. It's not as wide and it's not as long, but it's got the height. Like you're holding this thing, like you got to hold. Like obviously the prop weighs like maybe like it's made of paper. It's made of like paper, tape, and some glue. It's not that heavy, but if this were a real weapon, I would need to use two hands, because I'm not a 7 to 8 foot tall super soldier that can just
Wearing-
lift a tank with one arm no problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I guess onto the things that I do like about the weapons would be, like I said, I really like the new electric weapons with how they work just with the map and other players. So with the disruptor and the shock rifle.
I haven't used the
if
disruptor
you
enough. So like I picked it up like twice, so I haven't had enough
Yeah.
playtime with it to really say anything.
Yeah, so with both of those weapons, if there's two people standing close enough to each other, the electricity actually arcs and
Oh,
it does
really?
damage to
Okay.
both. Yeah,
I like that.
And so the other thing that I really thought was cool was it also works on metal. So if there's any weapon spots like pickups,
So you can-
shoot
you
the
can-
base of it, and it'll shock people.
You can
Like, even
camp a
around
weapon
corner.
spawn point and just keep shooting it whenever someone goes by.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a couple things like that. The disruptor, if you fire six shots, it actually does like a damage over time effect. So if you fire 6 shots and hit them, you're basically guaranteed to kill somebody because it'll do damage, right?
Okay. Because I know
Um,
in like a campaign review, someone was saying that disruptor sucks in like to use as a weapon. So
The disruptor is a do not pick up in campaign for sure.
okay.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, there's quite a few cool interaction type stuff that they
So
did.
the disruptor is essentially the bolt shot all over again. In Halo 4, the bolt shot was OP as hell in multiplayer, but in campaign, it was worse than the Magnum.
Well, yeah, I see, and I don't even actually find any of the energy weapons to be really overpowered. If anything, they feel less powerful than they did.
Than
in
they
previous
should.
Halos. Maybe the
Yeah.
energy sword now. With
Well, I
the,
just meant that
grapple
it's
and
essentially
dashes.
it's filled that spot where here's a weapon good in multiplayer, bad in campaign. Disruptor.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's filled that spot.
I have gone on
But,
sword killing
there's
sprees.
quite a few cool things, and like the
Speaking-
Hydra having laser guided sights. So if you aim in with it, it's laser guided.
Yeah, it's got two firing modes. If you press the
yeah.
if you press the zoom button, you get a alternate firing mode, which I don't really know what the difference is between the two firing modes, but either way, I get to kill the enemy, so I can't complain.
Yeah, so basically, the Hydra it's the explosive one, and if you aim in, you can actually direct it with where you're aiming at. So,
Okay, so
say I fire
Half-Life
it to
style
the left, and
missile
then-
launcher.
Yeah, exactly like that. So that one's I found pretty cool too.
That is really nice. And then you
There
just
were-
have
there
the
were a
regular
couple of
fire.
ones.
So there's a lock-on, and then there's the laser guided, or is the lock-on the laser guided? I noticed there was a
No,
lock-on.
there's the laser guided, and I think there's like the lock. There's a
So the
there's a
lock-on
couple of
separate,
things you
okay.
can do.
But because you can
Yeah.
you can blind fire the lock-on.
Or
but
sorry,
it
am I
locks on.
thinking? No, I'm thinking the Cinder Shot is the laser guided.
Oh, okay, no.
The
I
lock
haven't.
one is definitely the Hydra. You're right. I was
Oh,
getting
okay, that
confused.
explains a lot with the Cinder Shot, though. Because
Yeah.
I was using it poorly, so that explains a lot. But I've had a lot of sorry, I've been using the Heat Wave poorly. Cinder Shot actually explains why I've been using it very well. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about
So the
Cinder Shot
the
is the
Heat
one that
Wave
fires
is
the
pretty cool,
bolts,
too.
right? Like just the single explosive bolt of energy.
yeah, essentially. It
Okay,
bounces.
good, yeah,
It's
that-
like it
okay.
always bounces once. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Heat Wave is the one that's more like the Scatter Shot from Halo 4.
Hmm.
But you can
Yeah,
change
exactly.
the direction of, like, is it horizontal or vertical?
Vertical. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the
Yeah, so
Heat
there's
Wave I was
actually
having
quite a
bad
few
luck
weapons
with.
I really enjoy.
I was having a lot of bad luck with the Heat Wave, but the Cinder Shot,
Really good to use. Yeah.
Forerunner weapons. The Sentinel Beam, I feel, is too weak compared to previous Halos.
I find it's weak. If you can hit in the head, though, it's really strong. Like if you're
So it's got
constantly
headshot
hitting in the head-
multiplier, but it's like everything else. Its base damage is weak, but headshot multiplier obviously is pretty good.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
Cinder
so
Shot's
there's
great.
a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
Huh?
I said sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was saying the Cinder Shot's good. Heat Wave. I'm just trying to remember where are all the Forerunner weapons. I feel like I'm missing one. Heat Wave, Cinder Shot,
Heat Wave, and...
Sentinel Beam. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm not mistaken.
Then
yeah.
then you have obviously the shock weapons, the shock rifle and disruptor. You got the plasma carbine, plasma pistol, Needler. I have not used Needler yet.
No, the Needler's not bad. I don't mind it yet. So bad in this one. I think I seen a really cool. Was it you had showed that that video to me, where the less ammo you have in the Needler, it actually changes the reload time. So if you have
Maybe.
half of the say you use half your ammo, it still keeps those needles in there and it reduces the amount of time you have to reload versus if you used all your ammo.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
so I think they really hit it home on weapons, to be honest with you.
Stalker rifle, no, because the problem I have with the Stalker rifle is it fires like a carbine, but it has the fire rate and feel, like the overall weapon feel, of a beam rifle. It feels like a sniper rifle, but you're not supposed to use it like a sniper rifle, so it just throws you completely off balance when you're using it. Like it took me like 5 matches to adjust to using it.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. Like, because I remember the first time I picked up the carbine in Halo 2, and like you can instantly use that weapon. Same with the beam rifle, but here you have like a combination of the two. Just
Feels off, yeah.
like, because it feels like a sniper rifle, but it's not. Like, because I'm getting headshots, it's like not doing any damage. They still have shields.
Yeah.
And then
I'd say my favorite addition was definitely the Mangler.
the Mangler is
'Cause
fun.
I
I love
the
meleeing
in
with
Halo
it.
3. Yeah.
I love meleeing with it, and obviously the skewer is just such a blast.
Yeah,
for
actually,
human weapons-
me and my buddies were playing on a. Like, obviously, right now you can't do like Forge really.
But you can do custom
in-depth
games,
Custom games, but we were playing doing
like traditional.
really high jump speed or a really high jump height, and then really fast walking speed and sprint speed, and then just skewer. So you're like zooming around the map trying to hit people with the skewer and stuff, and
Skew and slide. Oh my god, there's your custom game. Skew and slide.
yeah.
Skew and slide.
But
Yeah.
the other thing that I found really cool about the skewer is actually the ammo, like the projectile for it, interacts with almost everything in the world.
Yeah, you saw those
So-
MythBuster videos that someone made where they dropped a weapon
Yeah, you
as
can
they were
drop a
shot,
weapon.
and it shot the weapon,
Yeah.
not them saving their ass.
Yeah, exactly. You can like obviously be really hard to do in game, but it's a feasible thing that you go pick up a weapon while somebody's shooting, and the weapon you drop while you're picking it up will actually kill them, or not. Sorry, not kill. It'll take the hit. So they won't kill you.
Essentially, the skewer spike will go into the gun instead of you,
Yeah.
and you will be fine, unharmed. But yeah, the skewer is definitely a fun. It's pretty much it's a new Spartan laser. It's the anti-vehicle weapon.
And as much as I thought I wouldn't like it, I do actually like the
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to like it at all, which is why I picked it up for the first time. And we're going, okay, this is the gun everyone's talking about. Okay, there's fire. I'm like, oh, I like this. This feels good.
Yeah.
Like upon first time using it, like, oh, I can see why everyone likes it. And then I just stood on the top, on the highest point in the map, and just started using it until I ran out of ammo.
Yeah. But yeah, and then grapple hooks, like I said, those were one of the things where I was kind of like, I didn't think I'd like them added into Halo. But
It took me a while to get used to the grapple. Not in like, oh, I don't like it, now I do. Like, I was unsure how I'd feel about it as well. But it took me a while to just figure out how to use it, because I thought the range would be a lot better. Like, but it is a very limited range on it. So
yeah,
that's
really
good.
useful with things where you're like a gravity hammer or an energy sword, but it's not as useful to like
For
like, you
actually
can
moving
still use
around
it
the
to
map.
get away, but to get across the map or something like that, it's not.
I'm sure in campaign it probably is, but
Oh yeah.
in multiplayer, yeah. Like, and that was my worry. Like, people would just be like swinging around like Spider-Man all over the place, but that's not the case. So that is good. I do love. I call it the gravity gauntlet, even though it's called the repulsor, but the gravity gauntlet is just so much fun.
It's fun it's super fun.
I used it on a guy with a sword coming at me, and I just popped him. It's like, oh, finally a counter to the sword.
Yeah, you start shooting them and they get close, and then it sets in for them that they're not close anymore. Yeah. But and then there's a couple of things that I really found cool too. Is I don't know if you tried it, but air jacking with the grapple hook is pretty fun too.
I've hijacked the warthog with grapple hook.
Okay, yeah, so you can even like banshees if you hook onto them.
Yeah.
You can grapple them and take them out midair. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I've seen someone else do it. In my match, like I saw someone grapple jack a banshee.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of new medals that I'd seen, and especially like you said with that Halo Mythbusters is a pretty good series I've been watching. But you can actually catch fusion coils midair that people are throwing at you and throw them back if you hold down. Yeah, there's a couple of cool things.
The drop wall though, I pretty much if I find something better, I pretty much just I pick it up, because like the drop wall, I feel it's not useless. It's not useful either.
It's less so for really getting cover like at a longer range or holding something down. It's more like if you're in a gunfight and you both just dropped your shields, toss a drop wall down, and he won't be able to shoot you through that. You'll probably be able to kill him.
But at that point, he's probably close enough to melee, so it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't serve the intended purpose. I think.
Like it's essentially a lesser version. Like, this is exactly what I feared it would be. It's a lesser version of the bubble shield.
The bubble shield, yeah.
And not like, oh well, that's not saying much. No, that's saying a lot, because the bubble shield was probably
Super
one of the more
strong.
useful pieces of equipment in Halo. especially in campaign, but like in multiplayer as well. It was a very useful equipment, especially in maps like long range. Drop that thing when you have no shields. Bam. Okay, let your shields recharge, or at least use it as a cover to then run away. This thing is more akin to the deployable cover from Halo 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the little Covenant shield.
Yeah, like the drop shield or whatever it's called.
The drop wall is pretty much like that, but larger. Except it's doesn't. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't used it right.
Feels
but
a little bit worse than that, even, because at least with the Covenant drop shield, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about.
It's deployable cover.
Entirety, you had to destroy it in its entirety to shoot.
You literally, if you didn't throw a grenade close to the base of it,
parts. Yeah,
you had to get a grenade either to the side or behind it, otherwise it was still up. You know, but and you could take it down, like you can melee the shield and it would go down, but then you can charge. But the drop wall, you poke holes in it; those holes aren't coming back; they're not regenerating.
No, and actually, I believe with the drop wall, if somebody drops it, you can shoot the base of it and it'll completely destroy it.
Actually, I think you can do that with the deployable cover as well.
Yeah.
What were the other ones? We got. That's 3. There's more. The beacon one. The threat sensor.
So that's the other thing I was gonna bring up with the electrical weapons is actually you can use the beacon if you shoot it. You can use the disruptor and the shock rifle and shoot the beacon that you just shot, and it will chain
to all the enemies in the area.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Because I'm like, I haven't found a good use for it in game so far.
yeah. It's got a pretty niche use, but I still thought that was pretty.
Yeah, that is very niche, but it is definitely like if you can pull it off, awesome. Shame that you can't get any achievement or progression from it though, but
yeah.
Like a achievement or just Tighter goes system shock.
Yeah, but there's quite a bit of stuff that I like in Halo Infinite for sure.
No, UNSC weapons aren't. Some of them are okay. I know a lot of people could say that the AR is OP.
The AR is way better than any other Halo. Absolutely.
The BR,
it's not OP, but it's way better.
Yeah, it's definitely much better than the BR. Which, I had to put freaking, the classic Halo 3 9 shots does not work here.
Yeah.
You had to put way more shots into a guy with a BR to kill him.
Yeah, so I think for the BR, it's 3 bursts to the head to take down shields, and the last burst to the head kills them. So 4.
So that's 9 shots, 9 trigger pulls to the head.
3 trigger pulls to the head, like the.
Oh, not 9 shots. Right? Sorry, 9 shots via 3 pulls, right? And then.
Yeah.
3 shots, and then you have to.
Yes.
That's consistent with what I've had. Shots. Also, in the chat we have Bone and Tabitha Owens. And var.tech. I don't know what var.tech is, but you do you, Tabitha. The BR, it's not horrible, but it's not great either. Honestly, it's probably a better start than the 8.
Yeah, it is, and that's why that's why they put it in ranked for the start.
Let's see. There was I'm not a fan of the shotgun.
No, it's not anywhere near as good as the
classic shotgun.
No. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the sidekick. I know a lot of people use it, and I know it's pretty overpowered at times, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Magnum feel. It really doesn't.
Like, I'd take the Halo 2 Magnum over it. Like, at least that, it was pretty much just a regular Magnum, but painted black. And had a different slide, but it was still the same classic Magnum.
Yeah.
Just, but let's see, there's assault rifle. I do miss the SMG. Granted, we haven't really had the SMG since Halo 3.
Yeah.
In terms of multiplayer campaign, obviously. Well, no, Halo 2 Anniversary had the SMG, both variants, the classic one and the ODST one.
Yeah, I guess new games, really, right?
But
like there hasn't been the SMG.
So we haven't had it since 2014, but Halo 5 did have a SMG. It was pretty much just a glorified P90, but it wasn't really fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good start, honestly. Like, SMG starts were a thing in that game early on, before other game modes were added, and people just stopped playing that, like, weird simulation map thing. Remember the one time ago with the blue, looked like a Tron map?
Yeah.
Then you have, but yeah, I missed the SMG, so there's that.
That brings up another shotgun. Good point to something I would really like them to see them put in. Sorry, would be the dual wielding again.
Yeah, well, I hated their excuse for lack of dual wielding. Remember, it was like, oh, we had to focus on the weapons, so we couldn't put dual wielding in, or something like that. I'm like, kidding me? Like, yeah. That's like, it's again just because it's an unfinished game. But it
just gives you the feel like I am a 7'2" Spartan.
Yes.
Exoskeleton that can help me lift 2 tons of weight.
I mean, you are 2 tons of weight in that suit.
Yeah.
Literally 2 metric tons of weight.
Yeah.
But of metal and what have you. But yeah, it's. I miss the SMG, and that's what I didn't like of Halo 5. That there was no dual wielding. Halo 2 Anniversary obviously had dual wielding. You can dual wield all the same guns you can dual wield in Halo 2 Classic. Except now you had new weapons, like the variant of the SMG from Halo ODST that you can dual wield, which was awesome. But yeah, the lack of SMG kind of sucks. Lack of dual wielding sucks. What other UNSC weapons were there? There was the sniper rifle and the rocket launcher. The rocket launcher I really haven't used yet.
The rocket launcher it meets the same thing. Like, obviously it's a one shot. I feel, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like it's less of a burst radius. So like it's less of a
there's no AoE effect or splash damage.
Yeah, I think there is, but a lot less. Like, to the point where it's not like, before you can still shoot the ground and kill somebody or shoot the wall beside them. But before it was they could be a couple feet away, and if you shot beside them there, they were blowing up.
Yeah, that's because I did use a rocket launcher. It was on one of the Saber map. That's pretty much like the one from Reach. I picked up a rocket launcher there, and yeah, I was like, there has no AoE effects. So what would have been a kill in another Halo game was a kill.
Yeah, it's just like it took out their shields, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's still a pretty strong weapon.
The sniper rifle, though, it's weird.
Yeah.
It feels like they just haven't nailed it down yet. I mean, come on. There's not a lot of weapons in this. What were you doing?
Yeah.
But the sniper rifle, like, I was able to use it fine, but there was a lot of adjusting to get to that point where, like, okay, I'm using the sniper rifle, I'm missing like full clips of shots, which isn't anything new, but it's like, okay, these should have been hits. My reticle was on them when I pulled the trigger, and this is a sniper rifle, it's high velocity and all that, faster moving projectile. But
yeah, like in other Halos, it was essentially if you were
it's a point. It was literally a point and click.
It was instant.
Yeah,
it was like
unless you didn't hit them in the head or upper torso.
No, I mean as in the
Oh, the impact versus the
travel.
trigger pull.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like it's essentially as soon as you shoot, it's the bullet's there, right?
yeah. But I feel maybe it's either it's not the case here with that, like the projectile is slower, or it's just like again something with the aiming. I don't know. It just something felt off. But
Yeah.
like honestly, the some of the weapons that's my problem. Like some of the weapons are great, and then some of them are horrible. Like there's very few in between.
Yeah, it's either you really
It's
want to
one
pick it
end of
up
the
if you
spectrum
see
or
it,
the
or you
other.
just leave it on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, I've ended up doing that. Like with the drop wall, the equipment. There's like all the equipment except for the drop wall have a kind of an all-round purpose. Like the threat sensor, you can kind of just shoot anywhere really. Like because the only times I've actually had the threat sensor with me was, the big team battle map. So
Yeah.
it's a big open area. What am I gonna do with this thing?
Yeah, not yeah. It's
But
not
obviously, in
exactly
every
the most
other
useful.
map, it would be useful.
Mhm.
So I just unfortunately did not luck out with that. But the gravity gauntlet and the grapple hook definitely are really useful in almost any environment.
Yeah, even if you don't have like a melee weapon, the gravity hook or gravity hook, the grapple hook is really fun to use.
Yeah, and I don't like that the gravity hammer got its like concussive gravity blast taken away from it because of the gravity gauntlet. Gravity
Yeah,
Gauntlet,
yeah.
like I feel like it's kind of compensating for this hammer now lacking that ability because used to in the older Halos, if you jump and do the gravity and use the gravity hammer, you can propel yourself higher
Yeah, you go like up.
and make some of those jumps, but now you can't.
I've actually got to go here, but
All right, yeah, well, it's 9.
yeah.
Oh, that's good. So yeah, end it. I guess we can end it. Oh, one thing, sword is it doesn't have the same feel. It doesn't have a satisfying feel when you use it. You know what I mean? Like the actual kinetic hit when you hit someone with the sword feels a little weird.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess I forgot to say that was one thing I noticed was that the lunge for meleeing felt so much shorter,
Yeah, they reduced
like
it
almost
for sure.
non-existent. Yeah.
But it's like the feel of the sword. Like you play Halo 2 Anniversary or Halo 3, you use that sword and it just feels satisfying to hit people. Same with Halo
Yeah,
Reach
like
and
you'd
even
hit
Halo
somebody
4.
and it would almost push you back a little.
But here it just doesn't feel satisfying. You can easily go on kill sprees with it. I've done that with the sword, but it doesn't have that same satisfying feel when you use it.
Hmm.
I just I wanted to point that out. But yeah, at the end of the day, the gameplay of Halo Infinite, like we just spent an hour talking about the different weapons and stuff. That it's great, the gameplay. I still feel Halo 2 Anniversary is more fun, in my opinion. I preferred Halo 2 Anniversary over Halo Infinite. But, that doesn't mean Halo Infinite's bad. It just means I prefer one over the other.
Yeah.
But Halo Infinite is definitely good gameplay, but it's just everything else crap. And unfortunately, we kind of predicted all of this a year ago. The multiplayer, it released unfinished. It's missing game modes. It's missing features, quality of life elements, such as just selecting the game type you want to play. You're getting punished for the game's screw ups, like disconnecting demotes you. The monetization is straight up predatory and malicious. The progression, if you can call it that, doesn't really exist, and where it does exist, it's kind of just greedy and ludicrous. So
they removed sorry, what am I thinking? What's the word? They removed service files, so like you can't go and look at your statistics anymore and your medals
Right.
and all that stuff too.
which is a huge part of the game.
Combat record, yeah, your combat, like you'd go and you'd look and you'd show people, oh, I had this medal. Look at, I got like
Well, that's because medals used to mean a thing, and that's
Kilimanjaro in multiplayer.
yeah,
or
and
whatever
that's
it was.
it bothers me when you at the end of a match you have the okay, what did you get? How many of them did you get? And I like that. I like that. Okay, it showed I got 3 triple kills in the match. Like that was awesome to see. But then you remember, right? None of this actually matters because it's just performance for the sake of performance. There's no reward for it.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like yeah, that I like that it shows me how many medals I got and which medals I got at the end of the match, and not for like a brief second, but like on a little pop-up screen, like an carnage report, after action report. But I don't like that. Again, you're not being rewarded for your time and effort.
Yeah. Yeah, those, I guess that would just be my general thoughts on the game, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what this is. And I will say this: sound design in the game in its entirety, I'm not a fan.
yeah, no,
The-
it's so difficult to even hear
I've
people
talked to your
walking
ear off
forward.
about it before, so yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel all the sounds are way too pew-pewy and very. It's the same problem Halo 5 had, but arguably worse because at least Halo 5 the sounds were very not loud, but like this like you heard it and like okay, you can hear the gun and everything like that. But here you don't even hear some of the sounds or some of these weapons. Like, and I
Oh,
hate.
they're very muted.
Yeah, like. You know, you take the the Sentinel beam in Halo 2 or Halo 3, and I'm also not a fan of the particle effects for a lot of the guns, especially the Forerunner stuff, and the plasma-based weapons. It's just, the plasma-based weapon stuff looks way too watery, like literal watercolor, like it's paint. And the the Forerunner weapons look way too Destiny. I'm not a fan of the purple yellow. The only time I want to see purple in the Halo game is the Covenant.
Yeah.
Like purple, like all that purple with the particle effects is way too hard on the eyes. But like it's just weird. Especially I seen one of the cutscenes I saw for Halo Infinite had a monitor. Like it was in one of the trailers, so this isn't a spoiler. Like one of the trailers had like these little guys with wings like throwing around this ball with an eye. That's a monitor. Except a redesigned monitor, but still a monitor nonetheless. And like trying to rip him apart or something. And in the cutscene, he blasts one of the guys, but it's not the giant monitor beam that 343 Guilty Spark had, which I think is the same effect or a similar effect used for the beam rifle in Halo Reach. And not beam rifle, the focus rifle in Halo Reach.
Yeah.
And there is a way to get your monitor in Forge mode to fire it. I think it's through a glitch, but anyone watching, make that a mod. Monitor battles in Halo Reach. But yeah, like that wasn't there. Like that giant beam. Remember when 343 Guilty Spark killed Johnson? Like where he just got red and just fired his beam at him. Yeah, it wasn't that. It was just like the plasma. It was the cinder shot beam type thing, and that kind of like that like it just kind of killed me a little bit because like you took that was like iconic part of the monitors. It's like they have a giant beam coming out of their face or their eye, whatever the hell they are. Like that was their whole thing. Now it's just this little pew, and it's not even a cool pew like in the Transformers. No reverb.
But,
anyway.
Yeah. I have to head out.
Yeah,
here,
and I think we'll call it because we've been going for 2 hours. So.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you guys, if you're watching this live or catching this on the rerun, I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been our thoughts on the multiplayer, and what we know of the campaign. But essentially, our thoughts on Halo Infinite so far. We're probably going to talk about it more in the future. For certain, especially as updates come out, and also just because we like to complain about it.
Yeah, if we'll see if they they deliver, but
yeah, at the moment I feel like gameplay is fun, but the rest of the game is crap and unfinished. I think deserves to be I think it needs to be pointed out because it keeps happening. This isn't a Halo exclusive problem, right? Despite how it's happened to the last 2 Halo games, it happened 3 actually, because Master Chief Collection had this problem too. It's still incomplete 7 years out later, but yeah, like this is a problem that we see a lot. Is games, AAA games, releasing unfinished and essentially an alpha state, albeit a less glitchy alpha state. We know we play alphas all the time. But it's still you're getting an alpha that's passing itself off as a fully released, finished, full price product when it shouldn't be, at least not in the state that it's in. I just want accountability. I want games to be complete and quality, and not what we're getting. And it's a shame too with Halo Infinite specifically. It's a shame because it has a good game in its bones, right? Like the gameplay is fun. And it could be a really fantastic Halo because of that, but everything else just bogs it down and just ruins the experience. Yep, that's Halo Infinite for now.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll be probably be back Monday for some Star Citizen stuff as well. Because you need to watch Inside Star Citizen. It's actually pretty cool.
I'll have to, yeah.
They talk about the Gravlet vehicles. They're actually getting some love. You'll see the name of the episode today, and you're gonna go, "Are you kidding me?" They titled it "No." All right, but yep, that's. I guess we're done. Outro's not my things.
Bye.